السلام عليكم ورحمة الله، يا أهلا وسهلا بمتابعين عرب جي تي والمستمعين الكرام لمنصة عرب جي تي بودكاست. تحياتي لكم، حلقة جديدة من برنامج دردشة بزنس. بهذا البرنامج احنا استعرضنا معاكم عدد من الحلقات السابقة منقابل فيها عدد من صناع القرار، عدد من المدراء المهمين جدا بقطاعات مختلفة بعالم السيارات. اليوم مقابلتنا راح تكون مختلفة، مقابلتنا راح تكون مع بلاتفورم، مع منصة تيك توك زي ما انتم شايفين باللوجو اللي خلفي. راح نتكلم مع السيد يوخن بيشوف، راح نتكلم معاه بتفصيلات كتير مهمة على صناع المحتوى، تحديدا محتوى السيارات وغير السيارات، وعلى منصة تيك توك واهتمامها بقطاع عالم الأوتوموتيف بشكل عام. Thank you very much for having us here in the TikTok office in Dubai.
Thank you.
How's things with TikTok?
Things are good. It's been I think for the company in the region, a 4-year journey. For myself, a 3-year plus journey. And things have been overall good. We're at the forefront of a shift in consumer behavior. We've established tremendous scale on the platform in audience, and I think we're going to talk about that in detail.
Yes, well, definitely we're going to take
over the next
but
hour.
Before going into the details, let's give the audience a little bit of a background. You're German, you've been living in Dubai since 2008. Can we go through, elaborate more into the background and the kind of works that you've been doing before that?
Thanks for the intro, and thanks for having us, and also congrats on your phenomenal journey as a company, which I followed ever since I'm in the region. So I got to Dubai in 2008. I'm German, born and raised, spent some share of my life in the US and in Spain. And on a professional level, I got into digital tech roughly 16 years ago. So within my Dubai-based career, I've been working for companies like Publicis Group, back then known as Starcom MediaVest on the media agency side. I've worked for Meta, formerly known as Facebook, for 5 years, and I've been part of ByteDance, the mother company of TikTok, now for 3 years. I've always been focused on what we call consumer-facing industries. So these are predominantly industries and advertisers that are very brand-building focused. So now in this case, the automotive sector. I work a lot with the CPG industry, with luxury, with the food services space. So that's what my work here at ByteDance has been entailing over the last 3 years. So myself, with the help of a team, we make sure that in the case of automotives, that these OEMs, also the dealers, that the creators, and we'll talk a lot more about creators in a second.
The 3 C's, you've called it.
Yes, that these stakeholders understand our platform well and know how to maximize the power of TikTok for marketing purposes.
Let me start with, since we're elaborating on the automotive, my first question, Jochen, what are the major trends shaping the automotive sector from your perspective?
So from our perspective, digitization is at the forefront. Digitization internally, from supply chain to, the vehicle in the showroom, but especially externally facing. The entire consumer journey from discovery to the conversion has been subject to digital transformation heavily over the past 10, 15, 20 years. That's where we play the biggest role. I get to the details of that in a second. We see a lot of efforts around sustainability, not only from the brands themselves, but also from government. So the UAE, as an example, has a target of 50% of vehicles on the roads by 2050 should be EVs. So a lot of the brand conversations that we're having today are around the new launches that are upcoming. The lion's share is in electric vehicles. So that stands out. I think sales and how to increase market share, how to premiumize is always a topic. And so back to our role within that, the way we're trying to help companies building short-term sales and long-term sales is where we come in and say, hey, with the help of our platform, the algorithm, the tools, the creators, we can help you on both fronts. We can drive leads. Lead gen is a big thing. We can help you with your short-term objectives, and we can also help you with long-term objectives. So mind you that the last 2-3 years, and still ongoingly, a lot of these OEMs had supply chain issues, right? And there hasn't been enough stock in the showrooms.
Semiconductors and...
Yes. And with that, the equity building has been at the forefront of efforts and always now comes to fruition that there's more and more cars available. You know, the OEMs that have been building brand most consistently and have stayed top of mind are the ones that are arguably winning. And that's where we've been trying to play a role as TikTok in the automotive industry.
When we talk about the changes that's taking place now, do you have like case studies or examples that it's in your head now where TikTok changes, that they planned something and it changes the way people looked at specific car model or a specific brand specifically?
We do. I'll take a step back before to actually walk you through this shift in consumer behavior that has shaped what we call, first of all, content discovery and also content creation. Let's start with content discovery, and let's probably look at the last 20, 25 years and when the internet truly started scaling and how people discovered content. So if you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, was the era of portals, the era of sites, right? Yes. Where people would know the content that they're looking for, and with that would go to a certain destination or to a section within a portal. So think, I don't know, I go to the automotive section of a yahoo.com back then because I know I'm interested in car content, and that's how I look up content. And that was the era of context. What happened after that, the era of intent and knowledge came into play, right? So people had an intent, search engine surfaced, making that intent signal into use and would actually tell people where to go. So even if I'm not aware of a section in a portal or I'm not aware of a site, I would still be enabled to find content. So we call that the era of knowledge. After that, it was the era of the social graph, right? Discovery was fueled by users browsing social feeds, following people, and based on social signals or whoever I follow, I would be served content that is relevant to me or that I'm interested in. And that was a huge change or shift in paradigm to how people discover things, right? The era of discovery allowing me, while I'm browsing the internet, I actually come across things that I didn't know I'm interested in. And then I would argue we are now in the fourth stage of that shift in paradigm, and that is the era of content. Maybe, are you a TikTok user?
I am a TikTok user and I'm a TikTok consumer. It's not because of you and not because of the audience, but TikTok, it took like an hour daily of my time. I love the algorithm and I love the way the discovery is taking place. It's a very smart algorithm compared to all the other platforms. But my issue with TikTok is you don't feel the time while you're consuming this content. So this algorithm, I've never seen it on other platforms. Other platforms are trying to somehow copy it in a way or another, but how, as TikTok, how do you view other platforms are trying to do the exact same algorithm as TikTok is done?
Yeah, that is a point of difference that I try to get to, and you're bringing up some very interesting keywords. The algorithm, the stickiness of the platform because it's so entertaining to you, and obviously one thing leads to another. So in the era of content, to which we believe we're at the forefront at the moment, you didn't need social signals, right? You downloaded the app and you discovered very quickly, hey, there's an algorithm at play here that understands me and serves me personalized content that is so relevant to me, that is so entertaining that in selected cases you forget about time. And that is fundamentally different to the social graph. So in the era of content, it's purely your interests, your signals, deciding on what is relevant to you. So it's not anymore about the people, the brands, the entities that you follow, but from the first session onwards, you're being served content, and the selection of that content is being refined as you keep using the platform. And that is very, very entertaining, and that's a new era of content distribution. A lot of signals that you're sending yourself, accumulating to the content selection that you're being served. So that's content distribution. Also on the content creation side, TikTok introduced a lot of new news. And I think everyone that uses the platform will testify that within the app itself, there's a very rich creative suite of solutions that ultimately empowers everyone to be a creator. And with that, content creation was revolutionized arguably as much as content distribution. And both in combination make for a very diverse array of content genres and in forms of entertainment. And some categories lend better to that than others. And I think back to the automotive industry. Automotive is inherently entertaining, right? Some of the biggest sports events in the world are about cars. Some of the most successful movies in history are about cars. So there's so much entertainment value that, I would like to believe the industry and the platform are a perfect match. There's some nuances to that as well. The TikTok is sound focused. The car industry is sound obsessed, right? The social platforms were often at the forefront of being check-in platforms, right? So people would use them on the elevator. People would use them while sitting on Uber, and often in a muted environment. That's not TikTok, right? You don't check TikTok. You sit back and watch it because it's a form of entertainment that requires you to lean back. And if you want to get the full experience, you want that with sound on, and that lends very well to the sound-obsessed industry that cars navigate in.
When we compare TikTok to the other platforms, in the automotive content creation specifically, how do you view TikTok, what's TikTok is offering for automotive content compared to the other platforms?
It's a great question, and I'll pick up on the content creation, the shift in consumer behavior that TikTok induced in, enabling everyone to be a creator, and what that led to just in content, or in the broad area of content that's available. So people go to TikTok to ultimately be entertained, right? And they don't predefine, I want to see car content now, and then I want to see lifestyle content or beauty content after. It's the magic is in the mix of what's being served on your For You page. What ultimately triggers a lot of resonance and relevance in TikTok is the fact that we see familiar faces, that we see faces like you and I, right? Everyone can become a creator enabled by the rich creative solutions embedded within the platforms. While versus previous platforms, often the power of a creator was enabled by financials or resources, and TikTok,
or the quality of production.
Correct, and TikTok completely democratized that, right? Everyone suddenly had, at least by the creative suite of solutions in their hands, the power to play within a green room setup in a proper production studio. With that, the creator space significantly broadened in access. So everyone can be a creator, meaning people that come on the platform to just watch suddenly see faces that they're familiar with, right? I don't need to look at celebrities, VIPs, people that were already famous for the sake of being famous and now use another medium to underline their fame. But now TikTok produced authentic creators, amateur creators that became very passionate about creation, and made them big. And it leads to a lot more credibility and identification on the viewer side, right? Like the creators that I see in Riyadh differ to the ones that I see in Dubai. And that resonates with people. So there's a huge localization aspect, which is one component in the recipe to success.
If we want to deep dive more into automotive content creators, have you noticed something that, for example, I've heard it before from several content creators, specifically in the automotive sector, that they would be like, if he made it on TikTok and he gathered a good following base and viewability is high, on other platforms, he will realize and notice that his numbers are not matchable compared to the TikTok. TikTok, people are more likable to his videos. They're consuming more of his content. On other platforms, he will disappear between the other content. Is there like a hidden stitch somewhere, or is there like a hidden formula that grab the attention of people on TikTok more than other platforms?
So one aspect of content democratization and distribution is that everyone can be a creator, whether you have 5 followers or 50,000 or 5 million. Everyone has a chance to create, share that piece of content on the platform, and based on audience resonates and reactions, content has a chance to blow up. That makes the platform incredibly exciting, right? Myself as a creator, I haven't been very successful. I create I've never cracked the 5,000 view threshold, yet I keep trying, knowing that I have a chance for my content to actually explode in exposure and views. So that's part of content democratization. There's really no secret sauce into that, or there's no silver bullet that I can give you. But we do have a few tips for brands, OEMs or dealers, or also creators to be successful. For once, probably, first of all, start an account, potentially get that account verified so that people that see the account actually know it's legitimate, that it's the actual entity or claimed entity behind that account. And then once you have that account within TikTok for Business, you can start your own community of whatever shape or form. And I think building a community relies on three components always, regardless of platforms. One is owned content, so what you bring to your account that you have full control over and share from there. The second one is paid media, so the resources that you consciously put behind your content in order to distribute them further, drive exposure, drive reach. And then where it gets extremely interesting to brands or creators is the earned media component, meaning suddenly others speak on your behalf, right? The community speaks on your behalf, or you as a brand speak via creators. But the magic there is in the mix. Ideally, all three are running in parallel. So meaning you invest into your content, you distribute that yourself, and likewise you get creators' interest to maybe speak on your behalf. Now, there's one platform idiosyncrasy where we believe we are unique, and that is called Spark Ads. So within the paid media formats, we have one format called Spark Ads, and that enables a brand to boost exposure within a creator's account. So assume a creator produces content around a car brand or a model organically, so just on their own behalf. The brand sees that, picks up on it, and says, that's actually in line with our equity. That's in line with what we were going to communicate anyways. The brand has a chance to now connect with the creator instantly and spark that bit of content with their financial resources. Yet it comes from the creator's account. And that drives a lot of authenticity, that drives a lot of credibility to viewers, to the consumers who pick up on that content, and with that increases a lot of ROI and impact to the brand.
With the way you've been describing it, what do you think of our region, our part of the world, with all the OEMs, dealers, regional offices, you name them? They're now becoming a content creators by themselves, and they can build a spark between them and the actual content creators. This part of the world compared to the rest of the globe, as a TikTok official, how do you view it compared to other markets like Chinese market or Europe or the state, for example? Is it an advanced market? Is it still we need few steps to reach where it's more easy to understand and to engage with?
It's a great question. I think generally you play in an exciting space because we live in a car-obsessed region, right? There's a lot of car passionistas here. And we'll speak maybe later about the different sub-communities that we see in, call it an automobile passionistas. But beyond that, we also live in a market that is often labeled as the emerging world. Yet when it comes to the digital behavior observed in those markets, it's highly developed, much more than part of the Western world in terms of how consumers interact with social platforms. How early they did that. Here in the part of the world, I think mobile penetration spiked already, in 2008, 2009, when I came to the region, we observed more than 200% in markets like Saudi and UAE. So generally, I think the region has always been very receptive to alternative forms of entertainment. So meaning an outlet like TikTok or as the entertainment destination lends well to the region. And we see that in high index penetration and usage numbers compared to the globe. Now, another bit to pick up on here is the creative aspect or the expressive aspect of people, which lends well to TikTok and its creative capabilities. And Cairo or Beirut have always been the creative hubs within the MENA region. But also likewise in Saudi or in the UAE, there is a huge creator scene that takes advantage of the platform and builds localized content, starting with themselves or for themselves, and as they grow exposure, and with that build brand, team up more and more with other brands. Now, to your question of automotives, OEMs, and what they make of that, like everyone can be a creator. Indeed, you're right. Like we see, especially showrooms and dealers, actually putting their own staff or
Yes.
what's happening within the showroom, making that or putting that at the forefront and center of content creation. So, to your point, yes, there's a lot of high in followership creators in the automotive industry here locally. It doesn't always need that. Sometimes it's very easy to be authentic just by displaying, hey, what's going on behind the scenes in my own business? What's going on in the showroom?
It doesn't need like too much of an investment or an extra mile of mindset and brainstorming. It just need simple ideas.
Authenticity is key, right? I think especially Gen Z or the younger segments appreciate authenticity. We've moved from this perfectionized, curated world of social media into TikTok making authenticity almost sexy, right? Hey, show me your real face within people. Show me your vulnerability, how you failed.
Does it also works exactly like this with car brands?
It can. Look, the beauty shots of cars won't decrease in importance. But we have excellent examples around the world, even in the premium and luxury segment. Bentley comes to mind. This was a global campaign that added such an authentic element to promoting a premium model that they relied on a TikTok trend that we call de-influencing. De-influencing. So influencing is a trend, right? Like promoting something, an event, a location. And over the course of time, a trend evolved in TikTok called de-influencing. So where creators consciously spoke rather negative about a thing because it was so awesome. And Bentley introduced a new model globally and capitalized on that de-influencing trend via one key creator or celebrity creator. That's very authentic. So authenticity can be key. That doesn't mean that you compromise on the perfectionism of the car or what it actually brings to the table.
Do you have examples of this kind of activation from the region, from an automotive companies who did an activation
Yes.
via TikTok?
Yeah. So multiple come to mind, especially in Saudi and the UAE. I'll start with Ford. That, like via the help of creators, ultimately launched a new model. Amir De Leon comes to mind. Yara Aziz was part of that creator lineup, and gave the creators pretty much hey, here's a blank canvas. Here's our brief. Now you interpret it, and ultimately speak to younger consumers that want their models almost personalized to their character. So I think the interesting detail here is they picked a broad area of creators, and these different creators spoke to a different subsegment within their broader target audience, and produced very different forms of content to it, but ultimately all speaking about one model. And that resonated very well in terms of ad recall lift, 3x in Saudi, 2.8x in the UAE. So you see there the impact on equity metrics, which is a gatekeeper to driving people into a showroom, maybe for the test drive and ultimately converting. So that's one example from Ford. The other one is GMC and Al Jumeirah in Saudi. So the dealer or the exclusive dealer of GMC in Saudi wanted to change a notion that pickup trucks are for males only. Why wouldn't women drive pickup trucks? So they hired, again, a female creator promoting the upside of pickup trucks. And there the measurement results are very interesting because there was a measurable impact on not only total sales, so the dealer drove plus 11 percentage points uplift in sales on that pickup truck, the Sierra, but also measured now the female share in lead signups or showroom signups and visits. And that spiked up by plus 38%.
Oh, wow.
So you see the common denominator here in creators. I'll give you a third example that was very successful in Saudi. The Kia Sonet. leverage creators to produce bits together with their moms. Building that emotional connection of the mom as the key influencer in the purchasing process. So the creator would, drive the vehicle with a mom, and you see the two debating with each other on what to like about the car. So great example of, again, building emotional equity. Was a bit humorous and funny, which I think always works, and the creator was key to that. And Kia also saw a huge upside in brand building impact on that campaign. So common denominator being creators were in the driver's seat. So the OEM maybe having an idea on how the campaign should come to life, but ultimately empowering the creators. Hey, what is your interpretation of that brief? And what do you make of that? How do you shape that brief with your brand that your followers know you by, and give it your spin? And it's very successful.
And usually OEMs will give freedom to the content creator just to, this is the brief, do it your theme, do it your way? Or there is certain interfering here and there?
It's a balancing game, right? Brands rightfully have their guidances, and look, the past 50, 60, 80 years of working on that brand generated a lot of learnings. So there's a lot of proxies that brands want to stick to and maybe should stick to. But likewise, it is useful to give the creator creative freedom. We do recommend, look, maybe in the first round, let the creator go to work and see what the creator comes back with. And then the two sides could still align. Okay, if we were to find some middle ground on, it's a creative production process ultimately. But creators know the platform inside out, right? TikTok creators started making or building their follower base, making a living, teaming up with brands eventually on TikTok. So they know the platform best. So we do advocate, give a creator creative freedom. They know their followership, they know the tonality, how to speak. Creators shouldn't compromise on authenticity. I think that's one key element to success when working with brands.
With working with brands, as a TikTok, do you work hand by hand with them? Do you do like seminars where to explain the functionality of the platform, giving them some tips, some ideas, some thoughts? Or usually the relationship is more into with content creators or agencies who's suggesting, media agencies who's suggesting to do this or that on TikTok? How's the relationship?
So we're trying to cover all aspects of the industry. So you're rightfully, or you're phrasing that out correctly. We have different teams covering different entities. So of course we want to do granular work with the OEMs and dealers and understanding, okay, here are the platform capabilities in media, but also in creative. Here are the creative solutions. There's a lot that we brought to the table to actually to ultimately decrease the creative barrier to entry. And here are ad formats and models and how they help you tackle different business challenges. So that's ongoing work that we're doing. Likewise, we have other teams doing similar work streams for the creators and with agencies. So we're trying to drive the comprehension for the platform across the different aspects of the industry.
If we want to create like pillars with TikTok, like with different categories, different segmentations, where does the automotive comes in? Like you have fashion, you have lifestyle, you have automotive, you have sport, you have. What's the percentage of the automotive? I'm talking about TikTok Middle East specifically.
So automotive content is a big thing on our platform. The community is so big that we're actually sub-segmenting it, and let's maybe talk through some of these sub-segments because it's a reflection of the behavior that we see here with Middle Eastern or actually Khaliji consumers on TikTok. So first of all, we have the drifters, and that's one sub-community that shares and creates a lot of content around their habits, their learnings, etc. We have the modifiers. So,
These are all subcategories.
These are sub.
They all fall under the automotive.
They all fall into automotive. Yeah, I took a few notes because this is pretty heavy in numbers. So the drifters drifting in the region alone, that hashtag's 60 million views already within the Gulf region only. So you see, there's a lot of, obviously, that's a very passionate category that wants to connect with each other and exchange intel. Within the transformers, so these are the modifiers. So just hashtag car mods or car accessories, 36 million views already within the region.
This is in 1 year?
Correct.
In 2022?
Yeah.
Oh.
We have the detailers. An interesting hashtag there is hashtag car wash. Obviously not purely related to detailing, but you see what people talk about here. Hashtag car detailers, 26 million views. Hashtag car wash, over 120 million views. So the detailers are a community that is actually, that we can contextualize within a much bigger trend on TikTok. And that is the form of edutainment, or the genre of edutainment that TikTok has revolutionized generally. So I go on TikTok to be entertained. I think we both identify with that. And inherently, I always learn a few things. I'm not sure if you've picked up on it. There's often content that we come across, yes, that makes me laugh, that makes me chuckle. I share it on a humorous side, and it's incredibly entertaining. But there's an equal amount of content that is super educational. On the time. I give you one example of myself outside the industry. Generally I was less interested or never asked that question about the legislations in the country. Yet over the last 6 to 8 months, I go on my For You page, and there's Dubai-based or UAE lawyers just providing snippets of edutainment on the latest changes to the UAE legislation. And I've picked up on that, and I go, wow, that's super informative.
It's very helpful.
Very helpful. And I download the latest within, 30 seconds or even less. And I think within the transformers and detailers, there's a lot of edutainment value within these sub-communities in auto.
And especially, usually people would love to learn these tips and tricks, especially with car wash. I watched so many videos on detailing, how to apply the nano ceramic where you tinted your window. You can do it by yourself. Or when you have these small scratches on the side, how to remove it with the very basic component that you can get them from the kitchen. Like, some of these videos are unbelievably amusing, and they will be like, wow, this is a surprise for me.
Yeah.
Actually, there is one guy who's always surprised, like, I'm 40 and I've never knew about this. Like, it's a surprise for him, where he engaged, where he fixed something or amend something. But some of them are really basic, very simple, but it's make a huge difference. Like, you've never knew how simple it is to fix or do it this way. Yeah. So this content is really, and I think TikTok as a platform, I consume more of this content on TikTok other than other platforms, or you have to search for it. I think this is how I view it. Great
examples of do-it-yourself hacks that you just listed. And I think we all benefit from those, right? We learn things, hacks come flying our way, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And to your point of, I never knew the appearance of such hacks in such an entertaining format has been leading to a change in search behavior as well. So if you reflect on how we've been searching for solutions on the internet, in conventional search, it would serve you textual outputs, sometimes images, that will give you a direction on what to do. Now, what we've observed on TikTok more and more, especially in the Gen Z segment or younger users, is people want to search for results with more value, right? They want to see the video of the location, or they want to see the video of the showroom. They want to hear the voiceover of a creator or a user that maybe has been to the showroom and has a testimony on the experience in the showroom. That's so much more visual, and with that so much more entertaining / edutaining, that we've seen a significant spike within our search function on TikTok over the course of the last year plus, as consumers are looking for more value in the search space as well, and not only in the discovery space.
Can I go back to the subcategories?
Yes.
Car wash, detailing, drift. What else? Do you have more insights? Because
there's actually one more sub-segment that is very dear to my heart, and that is the family, right? So we've been talking a lot about drifters, the transformers, the detailers, and then there's a family. And I just had a daughter. She's now 5.5 months old, and suddenly,
Congrats.
Thank you. Suddenly, I find myself in the market looking for a family car.
Is it okay if we tell ArabGT audience what type of car you're driving?
Yes. So I am driving, and I won't let go of it, an AMG C63 507. Now, obviously, it's not the most practical car.
No, but it's a limited series, and
it's a limited edition, yeah.
It's a limited edition, and definitely the audience of ArabGT, they know exactly the 507. So this is why you've been looking for a family car, because it's
we need more space. There's a practicality element that I can't deny. And with that, I'm in the market. And one hashtag, by the way, that goes beyond the automotive industry, dads of TikTok. I'm not sure if you've come across that, but dads of TikTok, the community shares so much consultational value and advice to each other that, it's phenomenal of what we learn from each other like as young dads. To me personally now, I see, hey, which family car is actually the most practical one? What solves for what, especially in the part of the world that we live in, air conditioning in the back. There's small details that actually become very important. So that's suddenly a sub-community that I identify with.
Wow. If I want to take a step further towards the whole scenery in the other platforms, what's your advices to the content creators, specifically for something related to cars? Do you recommend them to focus into these subcategories to be more focused into this kind of content, or to have a diversity like this month I will be giving some tips around car detailing. The second month maybe I'll rent a drift car and I'll create some content. Is it like diversity and making sure that I'm trying to pick and select all of these highly impressioned hashtags, or to stick into one segment and give it a full on? What's your recommendation with this?
So the recommendation is just like we're speaking to any brand. What do you stand for? And typically creators have figured that out. Like, we don't need to tell them. Creators have, as they build their community organically, right? They grow them over time. They establish a content genre. Okay, I stand for reviews. Here's my design, or the way I portray OEMs or new models. Typically, the community of a creator knows what they stand for. I think some consistency there matters, right? Just like it matters to brands in the real world as well. But that doesn't mean that they can't diversify. Why we believe creators have induced a shift in paradigm in marketing from brand-led tops down to creator-led bottoms up. It's because of the authenticity and people actually being able to identify with creators. Right? I have a celebrity speaking to me. I can only identify with that profile so much. I have a creator from my local community speaking to me about a new model or an offer, a promotion. Yes, there's a lot more credibility behind that. And that's ultimately coming back to the creator staying true to themselves. So authenticity is key for them. I think as long as they keep that up, they know their community and what that community is receptive to probably better than we do. We just recommend for them to keep building their brand in the way they have been.
If we go into technicality, some account managers, they will tell you you have to create live videos. You have to engage more with your audience with the live. It will give you better chances to get more following base. Is it really matter with TikTok, or it's just something like doing lives, creating several videos during the week? Is it really mattering, or focus into one type of content, as you were saying, focus into the direction where you feel like I have the leverage here and I can speak it out loudly, focus into that, and this is it?
So to answer your question, there's no such a playbook, because if there was, we would pass it on to you as a creator. What we advise creators on, and brands, so be it now a showroom or an OEM, is observe your community and how they respond. Be it around posting frequency, content of posting, how you mix in different formats, be that in paid media or as you're alluding to in live. I think it's about a consistent observance of my community and how do they respond in adapting my life. But there's no such evidence of, hey, here's a silver bullet in formula and apply that consistently.
Okay. So there is nothing like one direction towards specific formula where it will make the content creator gaining more followers in an easy way. You have to discover it by yourself.
Yeah, it comes down to content quality, right? Like the content quality will decide the reactions of the audience, and with that the organic exposure that this will create. And then within the control of the creator might be paid exposure. There is a lot of tools within the platforms that we do highlight to brands and creators likewise. So think duetting, which is a capability in the platform that enables two videos sitting next to each other and you almost interact.
Yes, yeah.
That's very creative and entertaining. There's also stitching. There's video replies. So we do advocate those tools because they create interactions, and interactions leads to more exposure and more people picking up on that. So that's what we keep highlighting and making consistent usage of the in-platform tools besides the paid ad formats to keep the community alive and increase community interaction.
After this interview, definitely the listeners or the viewers have to follow us on ArabGT TikTok account, and we definitely gained some good advices to how to handle our account in a more professional way. Maybe we should put more efforts towards creating using these kind of functionality on our account. I would love to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I know we took an hour of your time, of your busy schedule.
It's a pleasure.
So thank you very much for your time, and we look forward to meet you more often and maybe to discuss more matter in the coming future.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having us. Thanks for spending time on TikTok and keeping us top of mind. And congrats again on your platform as a trajectory. I've been following you since 2008-9 when you were broadcasting channels.
TV station.
Yes. So yeah, we'd love to team up further in the future.
Definitely. We thank you very much for your time يوخن. مشاهدينا الكرام، أتمنى تكون المقابلة أعجبتكم. تناقشنا بصراحة بعفوية، يعني حتى الأسئلة اللي كاتبها بالنوت بوك ما مشينا فيها، تناقشنا بعفوية مطلقة. لا تنسوا تشتركوا بقناة ArabGT بودكاست، موجود الرابط موجود في الأسفل. وشكرا لكم وشكرا لمشاهدتكم. السلام عليكم.